Hello, welcome to another episode of Full Circle with me, Onyx. And today I want to make a video about Aries. And I feel like I'm qualified to talk about it because I am an Aries sun sign and my mom is an Aries. And a lot of my friends tend to have some Aries energy. Um, so I feel qualified. And I feel like a lot of people misunderstand Aries. Uh, and I feel like people with an agenda want to try to make Aries into a narcissist. There is this video put out, and it says, like, the four signs most likely to be a narcissist. And of course, that's just, I guess, clickbait. Uh, but they listed his number, like, Aries was on the list. And I was like, what are you talking about? Um, and then someone else, uh, who's kind of, I would say, a trendy astrologer, uh, banking on the fashionable image of astrology, was trying to say that Aries are egotistical, and the first house in Aries is ego, when really that goes to Leo. Um, there's nothing wrong with having a healthy ego. All four fixed signs have ego, big egos, and you need a positive, healthy ego if you want to do anything in this world. So your ego has a lot to do with being motivated and achieving things, and it also, uh, ego has been criticized and shamed due to, I would call it, Victorian era psychology, outdated psychology. So we're kind of taught to shame the ego, and if you want to be spiritual, you have to tame the ego and keep that all into balance. Okay? Uh, because without an ego, you have no desire to accomplish. You have no vision. You don't know what you want out of life. Without a healthy ego, you don't think for yourself. You let other people's opinions and moods and attitudes and agendas push and pull you into situations that all of a sudden you're like, what am I doing here? Why am I in this toxic relationship? How did I get in this cult? I don't really know if I want to be a doctor, So so with all this indecisiveness, indecision, anxiety, a lot of that happens because you don't have a strong sense of self. So fixed signs have a strong sense of self. Uh, so moving on. Aries is a active, action-oriented, goal-oriented, achievement, success-oriented sign. It's a positive fire sign. And so anyone can be narcissistic. Anyone can be depressed. Anyone can have mental and emotional disorders. You have to look at the whole entire chart to see the reflection of that. People can also have circumstances going on. Your rising sign in your fourth house can really dictate the environment you grew up. And so that has an effect on your attitude and your belief system, but isn't exactly true to your star sign or personality. So it is a little bit difficult to try to psychoanalyze someone or categorize a, a, a class of people. All Leos are this way. All Aries are this way. I've had a few bad experiences with Pisces men, so don't date them. And that's all generalization, labeling, and judgment, and really has nothing to do with, I would call, true astrology. But we can play this game for entertainment. And if you haven't checked out Zodiac Psycho's uh, channel, uh, this My version of this situation, this topic we're going to talk about, is inspired by his channel. So his video is like, what, is basically Scorpio is deadly for narcissists. Like, Scorpio is a narcissist. What does that mean? And he goes into those videos. You'll have to watch. Um, but the reality is Scorpio and Aries have a lot in common because of that co-rulership of Mars. So it's actually Scorpio that kind of overrules and has rulership over Aries, over the Mars energy. Uh, so Aries doesn't really have rulership over the Scorpion energy and the Plutonic energy. So you got to be careful with co-rulership because certain strengths and weaknesses of signs, water puts out fire, and to have a fixed water sign sharing the Mars energy, uh, the water is going to be more dominant. Uh, going, but anyways, it's a lovely dance of those two energies. Uh, so planets, you might have a strong Mars in your chart. You may have a strong Pluto in your chart. I'm under the new awareness that the planets by themselves can't really be said to be just like the signs. They express, and planets are kind of like a condenser, kind of like a magnifying glass of those signs. But I believe they are their own vibration to themselves. Uh, so the sun is its own unique powerhouse. We associate it with Leo, but it stands alone. Uh, as a luminary, it stands alone as how you see yourself in your own mind, how you think. It also stands for what you're striving to become. And I would even say luck, your health, your vitality, the duration of your life, the life force, um, your political ambitions, and so forth. And that's, Leo shares a lot with that. Sometimes I feel like being in a sign gives you more of that experience played out on the stage of life. But as a planet, it's more like those qualities are absorbed into you as a person. So someone with like Mars conjunct the sun, Mars united with the sun, may really embody the Mars energy, but as the warrior, as the god of war, as very ambitious, as very male, masculinated, really self appreciating and identifying with that male aspect within themselves, which is assertive. So, anyways, so we just kind of want to explain a lot of what you're getting with astrology. I would say has been popularized in a certain direction, but really it's a very vast subject, and you might enjoy seeing astrology a little bit more like I do. Let's move on. This real video was about why actually Aries are narcissist repelled and repellent. Narcissists are repelled by Aries, and Aries are repelled by narcissists. So, in a weird way, Aries can be a narcissist's worst nightmare. Will a narcissist try with an Aries? Sure. Uh, when we think about narcissism or some of these negative personality patterns, I would think power issues. Manipulation is a power issues, whether it's mental, telling stories and gaslighting, or whether it's emotional, breaking down and being weak, playing the victim, playing the martyr. Aries doesn't do. Aries doesn't find their entertainment in that. Um, having so power issues. Aries is a powerful force. I would call it definitely a power sign, and the Mars energy is definitely, it is your power. How you go about getting things. It's like your battery of energy. So Mars itself shows vitality, shows strength. Depending upon which sign and house is may how might be where you express it in life, how in life those challenges are brought to you, and then also how you exert that force. Um, so let's just go through. I made a little list, just like a really quick list where I didn't really have to think about it. I'm like, I, like narcissistic abuse and all this long term stuff. And I'm thinking, as an Aries, that wouldn't last long. We're not going to have like years of connection. Aries is going to split. Aries is going to fight. Aries is going to tell you what they think. So number one on my list is Aries don't back down from a challenge or a fight. So you may have won a battle, but you did not win the war with an Aries. So, um, and for a narcissist, that's not good news because narcissists or people with personality disorders hope you'll be intimidated, hope you'll be backed into a corner, stay subordinate to their rule as they undermine you, and try to have power over you in some way. And key to a true Aries personality, that's not how they play the game. They're like, a challenge is a challenge. I look forward to a challenge. I look forward to winning and maybe using your head as a trophy. This is Aries style thinking. So before that fight, and it also depends upon how developed your Aries is. Um, some Aries have to work on getting over fear, and over a lifetime they become more and more and more fearless. Other Aries are very fearless, but they might hesitate. If they've been indoctrinated with morality, you know, they might hesitate if it may hurt someone else that they care about. But just because they hesitated or got caught off guard, which is kind of typical of an Aries, they find themselves in situations that they're not accustomed to. And then they have to navigate that and master it. So it's very typical of an Aries to go where angels fear to tread, like where other people say, "Oh, other people." Aries kind of have to learn through experience. They're not hard headed. It's just part of their path. I need to jump into this experience unknowingly, and then have that overwhelm. And with overwhelm, we assume self doubt. So when they're finding them, because they're a pioneering, fresh energy, in order to have something pioneering and fresh, it has to be new, unfamiliar to you. So Aries will unconsciously, deliberately seek new challenges, be open to new experiences, and this is how they somehow attracted someone like a narcissist into their life, or a personality disorder. So they won't back down. Uh, that doesn't work very well for a narcissist if truly the core of them is weak, and that's why they're seeking control and validation. And so to start off with a fight or to challenge an Aries is like leading with your left foot. It's not a good idea. Number two, Aries can be unforgiving. You cross an Aries, they may remember that forever, and and basically you started a holy war that they're willing to take to the grave. Like some of the other fixed signs can hold a grudge, water signs will hold a grudge. They're all holding it for a different reason. Uh, but if you like really crossed, so this is interesting. Aries, for all their impatience and explosiveness, they're actually very patient. So sometimes you don't know exactly where that line is. But if you've really crossed that line, you know, gone after someone they love, because that's a big deal, uh, gone after their personal possessions, because their possessions are kind of like trophies. People they love are kind of like trophies. If you cross one of their values, uh, you're probably going to go into the unforgiven territory. If you challenge them for no reason, you're going into very deadly waters, because the Aries is the god of war. They are willing to, what goes through my mind when I'm challenged or faced with a difficult situation, uh, is number one, yikes. I don't know what I'm doing. My brain is scrambling, like, what the fuck? And then number two is, okay, you might die. Number three, it's okay to die. Go. So this is what goes through Aries' mind. Oh yikes! I don't know what I'm doing. I may die. It's okay to die. Who cares? So it escalates really fast with an Aries that they're willing to lose it all, even their life, and they may not know fully why. They're just going to deal with the situation. So it doesn't matter why the fight started, or it doesn't matter if I remember why. If you've crossed that line, things have gone now into the red. The opponent doesn't know that Aries is willing to actually die. So that's point number two. So it escalates beyond control, out of control. So, where Scorpio is going to exercise caution as they're learning to master that Mars energy, Aries isn't exercising caution, foresight. They're not exercising empathy. They're not relating it to any type of woundedness. Aries is just the Mars energy and fiery. And with the sun there, it's a strong placement there. So there's no like big plan foresight. It's like a blunt force versus some delicate strategy art spun like a spider web. Aries is just like the hand that just yanks the whole spider web and throws it away. There goes that delicate, elaborate scheming that happens with other signs. Like it means nothing. So it's like fighting a war, and that person's using different weapons. They have a different mindset. They're feeling threats for different reasons. So, and we'll go into this. Uh, so I guess these 1, 2, 3 bulleted, reasons why you don't want to mess with an Aries, or be psychotic and mess with an Aries, or have something going on with you, is, for these reasons. And you would think, being the god of war, of course, they probably don't mind violence. They view violence differently. Scorpio and Aries view violence differently than maybe other signs. Other people are viewing it as, I need to defend myself. I need to defend my honor, my pride. I need to be respected, or I want to win the love and admiration of my fans. Like, people have, who knows, or security. I mean, that's a good one for water signs. You're uprooting their job, you're uprooting their family life, their country. So that sense of security might be a reason. Aries actually fights for fun, the thrill of the fight, the enjoyment of fighting. And this is a different kind of fighting than yelling and bickering and being nasty to each other, or being negative, or trying to shame the other person, get someone to be so out of character and dysregulated that they humiliate yourself. I mean, this is a big one for, I would say, more manipulative people who are going to get wounded because they have big egos, they have a lot of pride, or they have a lot of insecurities. Aries doesn't have a big ego. Aries doesn't have a lot of pride. Aries doesn't have a lot of inner insecurities. So they're actually willing to be compromised, have egg on their face, be humiliated, be in an embarrassing act, caught, you know? So a lot of this is why they're kind of like out of control. It's like, yeah, I looked really stupid doing that, but I won the war, or I won the fight. And so winning, I think, is more of a priority. And this winning gives them a sense of self. It's like a trophy. It's more like a trophy than it is I mean, yeah, it's going to boost their ego, and it is making a statement about them, but just for the fear, the pleasure of winning, the pleasure of fighting. And then this kind of goes into the art of being a gentleman. In a man's world, traditional values, story, whatever, uh, you can actually bond over a fight. You can have a disagreement. And in a weird way, that creates a vulnerability where you understand the other person so well, they become like your brother. So it's very common for guys to fight, shit test each other, whatever you'd like to call it, and then have a newfound respect for each other. He hit me really hard. He put me in my place. I saw that he was a good warrior. I saw that he took defeat and now I feel bad. Well, now it's okay for him to be my brother. And so, an Aries after battle may want to be your friend. Get over it, and now let's go watch a movie together. And now they have your back. So you can actually win over an Aries by standing up for yourself. But this is like the gentleman's code. So I've kind of, it's not so bulleted. It is, Aries, do you have a sense of justice? They have a value system going on. And you're either a gentleman and a lady or you're not. And if you don't play by the rules, you fight dirty, you throw sand in someone else's eyes so they can't see and then you punch, you lose this unsaid code of Bushido, these unsaid rules. So we have rules for warfare. People that cheat and don't play by the rules are the people who may win the fight over an Aries, because Aries have a set of sportsmanship. They have a sense of rules going on. Uh, they're diplomacy. So it's so when you start becoming, I would say, dirty, you really start losing the respect of an Aries, and then that's probably when they're actually going to leave, and now they see you as an unworthy opponent. I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to get down to your level because you'll like it and you're good at it, but it's just too dirty. It's not becoming of me. I somehow feel like I'll get dirty and tainted in this toxicity, which is different than Scorpio. Scorpio will go into the toxicity and destroy you. And that's their way of dealing with it. Aries might just not get in. They might. And so I would say for a Scorpio, they have to be emotionally motivated. And see, I really can't speak for Scorpio, but I would assume there is a value. There's there's a personal value that they have taken upon themselves, you know, to uphold whatever that is. Could be just the need to be right and prove you wrong. I mean, that's a value. Cut down the false gods. I would say that's definitely a strong reason why a Scorpio will be willing to get into the toxicity with someone. But anyways, moving on. Uh, Aries doesn't care about emotional bonding. So I would say people with personality disorders might try to see how they can connect with you first, be your friend, show you a good time, and then try to use you. Classic. Smoke screen you, use you as a human shield, have you take the hit for him, be manipulated. Aries doesn't care about that. Aries is like, okay, we're friends. This is great. Okay, we're not friends. Okay, that's cool. Oh, we're friends again. Okay, that's great. Okay, you're not friends. Okay, this has happened. 1, 2, 3, boom, you're gone. Aries is gone. So the emotional manipulations, the need to be secure together, like it's gonna be other things playing in the chart if an Aries is willing to be emotionally bonded with you. Because like Aries is a warrior, they don't need it. They're not a hero. They're not a they're not really like an inner child. They're not dependent on others. They are individuals, they are their own person. So they really don't need it. They'll be like, "Oh, well, it was nice when you were around, but it's nice when you're gone too. So bye." So it's hard to get emotionally attached or manipulative with a fire sign, and especially Aries. They're not going to play that. Their needs are different. Their need is to realize themselves, and understand themselves in relation to the world, in relationship to others, but it's more just self understanding. So the other person isn't really required. And I would say this is why maybe other people might say, oh, Aries is a narcissist. Aries is self centered. Um, they're on a personal mission to understand themselves. How do I think? How do I feel? What are my values? How do I uphold them? How do I express them? This is what's going on in Aries. How do I achieve this award and accomplishment? How do I uh, be able to look at myself in the mirror and find the pride that Leo has already acquired, to find the, I would say, almost status that Sagittarius has, that integrated level of helping others. So the fire signs, all of them have different paths. All the signs have different missions. You know, why did we materialize? What are our personal lessons? What's going on in our own personal world? For Aries, it is a lot about self. So when Aries goes ice cold, when Aries grows distant, when Aries cuts you off, they're probably doing a lot of self reflection, self, and that could also be going out and doing other things with other people. So, loyalty is a really big deal to an Aries. So, if you betray an Aries, you're done. If Aries can't trust you anymore, you're done. They want to put their loyalty in something either greater than themselves, so it probably has stability and it's probably worthy of worshiping because you value it. If you're not worthy of this type of value, this type of worship, then good luck having an Aries loyal to you. So I would suspect people who have a lot of issues with Aries, one, don't understand him, and two, can't live up to that status. Aries wants to be Aries wants to admire you and to have this admirable thing next to him. If you're not that admirable thing next to him, something of high value, a quality. So it doesn't have to be looks, doesn't have to be money. Aries are pretty flexible with that. It's usually the mind. If you have a brilliant mind, you're a great conversationalist, air signs, Aries is gonna think you're amazing. They're gonna listen and they're gonna value what you say. And they'll want to be next to you. So if you're not really offering something of value to an Aries, they're probably not going to play with you. So I'd say toxic personalities really don't have anything to offer. They're just there to take. Because Aries is the first of the fire signs, it's just the spark of life, it's just the flame. It doesn't have the duration, it doesn't have that long lasting flame energy as Leo. It hasn't mastered fire. So it gets tired, it gets fatigued, it gets bored, it gets distracted, which is really the flame going out. So there's not a lot of juice for a narcissist to suck on to stay involved with an Aries. So there's limits just because they have limited energy supply. So this is another thing about Aries. Aries usually don't like to be seen as stupid. They rule the head, they kind of rule the mind. So we think mind, we think third eye. So usually they have a strong bullshit detector. And they do like research and they do like information and they want the education. So you can actually correct an Aries, and Aries will take that correction if it's with information. It's like, hey, dude, this isn't how you do it. You do it like this. Aries doesn't even feel, they're not thinking, oh, you wounded my pride, or oh, my self esteem, or you didn't recognize me. Aries is like, thank you. I want it. I want to achieve. I want to be successful. I want to win. If you're providing me information that's going to help me win, become a better person, instead of feeling slighted, instead of twisting that around in some way, Aries is going to go, thanks. Heck yeah. You know? So, which is unlike people who have personality disorders. They're going to take it personal. They're going to twist it. They're going to hold a grudge. Their small level of self-esteem is going to be bruised. You know, they're going to feel put out. They're going to have a whole issue about it. And Aries is like, so Aries, yeah, it's kind of blunt and is okay with, you know, some poor communication skills. Uh, Aries will forgive, they won't forget. Aries will seek advice and help from friends, family members, coworkers. They'll get an outside opinion. And so you really can't entrap an Aries into focusing on you and trusting you only. If they do, it's only for a while. Once you can't keep that up, Aries will not trust you. So breaking loyalty is big. So people with personality disorders, it's really hard for them to stay loyal, stay honest, stay true. All the things a gentleman and a lady require. To be a gentleman and lady, you have to have values. And you have to be loyal to those things. And you have to actually embody those things. When Aries doesn't see that, bye. So this video kind of got long. I think we've really pretty much gone over everything. Let's see, I'm just looking real fast. Yep. So Aries wants to get the most they can out of life. So if you're hindering that in any way, Aries is probably eventually going to leave anyways. They would have to have other things going on in their chart to make them stay or put up with bullshit. And then did we say Aries is okay with violence? They are okay with violence. So let's see. Aries also looks at failure as a learning opportunity when the Aries is evolved enough. So humiliation is not a big deal for an Aries. So they're not really gonna get so ego hurt over a lot of the things that a manipulative personality would try to use as leverage over them. Aries is okay if you ruin their life because they will just get back up and start a new one. Aries is the beginning. It's a fresh start. So they look at all failures. Every stage of life is new and fresh for them. They can bounce back from narcissistic abuse. They can bounce back from being around toxic victim martyr type personalities. They can bounce back. And this is probably what makes them undefeatable.